guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the power rule for finding the derivative. So the formula for power rule looks something like this. So we're trying to find a derivative, right? Derivative of x to the exponent of some number n, right? And when we do that, it has to look something like this. It will basically become, this n will be moved to the front, okay? So it will look something like this. So the x is here, the n moves to the front like this, right? It's being multiplied to the x. And then we also copy the n, but we also subtract 1 from the exponent like this. So this basically tells us how to find a derivative of this form. So let's dive down into some examples. So say we have an equation that looks something like this, and we're trying to find y prime, the derivative. So we have to use the power rule here, and we can recognize here there's a constant, right? This constant, we can recognize that, you can see that if we were to rewrite this, right? This is x to the exponent of 0, because we know x to the exponent of 0 is equal to 1. Okay, so it's like 1 times this constant, 1, right? So if we rewrite this, rewriting everything here, we basically have this 1 times x to the exponent of 0, because x to the exponent of 0 is equal to 1, so it's just like 1 times 1, like the constant times 1, so it doesn't change anything here, okay? So this makes it easier for us to apply the power rule. Well, we know that derivative of a constant is going to be 0, because if, let's say, we have like a graph, right? And the constant function, like y equals, say, 1, right? Looks something like this. The slope is just going to be 0. So the slope is 0, and since the slope is 0, that means the derivative is going to be 0. But we're going to prove y using the power rule, so I'm just going to show you that we can actually show y, the derivative of this, is going to be 0. So we're trying to find y prime. Okay, and in the meantime, we're also finding the derivative of these terms, okay? So what we have to do, as mentioned before, we must bring the 6 down, okay? So we must bring the 6 down, okay? So we're bringing the 6 down, right? We brought it down, and the x is here, we're copying it. Then we must also copy the 6 again, but we must subtract 1, okay? Because we must first bring it down, then we subtract 1 from the exponent. That's using the power rule, okay? So now we must do the same thing for this term. So I'm going to take this 3, I'm going to bring it down, okay? And then I'm going to do 4 times 3, just like that, times x, okay? And then we copy this 3, and we must subtract 1 from the 3, okay? Find a derivative. Now we do the same thing here, so minus 5. And then take this 2 down, okay? Take this 2 down and put it with the 5, right? And then the x to the exponent of 2, we must subtract 1 right here. And similar concept right here, take this 0 down, right? Take it down, and it's going to become 1 times 0, right? Take the 0 down, 0's here now, and times x, and then this is 0, right? So we must subtract 1 from the 0, okay? Just like that. Alright, so now we have subtracted exponents, and we have also basically took down that exponent. So now we're just going to simplify this. So y prime is going to be equal to 2 times 6 times x to the exponent of 6 minus 1 and all of this. So 2 times 6 is going to be 12, so we write 12 here, and then times x. 6 minus 1 is 5, so I'm going to write 5. Here, 4 times 3 is also 12, so I'm going to write 12 here. And this is x to the exponent of 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1 is going to be 2. And then 5 times 2 is 10, okay? Negative 10 is there's a negative here. And then x to the exponent of 2 minus 1 is 1, so I'm writing 1. And then here, it's 0 times x to the exponent of negative 1. Right, this is going to be 0. I'll show you 1 next step, okay? So y prime is equal to, we're going to simplify this, so I'm just going to copy everything else. copy everything else. Oh right, and also x to the exponent of 1, we can just write it as x plus 0 times 1 over x, just like that. Okay, this is 1 over x, x to the exponent of negative 1 is 1 over x, since the 1 is basically in the denominator like this, okay, and multiplied by 0, and 0 times anything is going to be 0, so this is going to be 0, this whole thing 0, so we don't need to write it in the next step. 12, it's 6.5 plus 12 x squared minus 10x. We don't need to write the 0, so it's just like that. Okay. Alright, so now we have found our derivative for this function right here. So now say we have a question that looks something like this, and we are trying to find the derivative. Okay, so to find the derivative, right? First of all, let's recognize that these are negative exponents, right? This is x to the exponent of 1 in the denominator. So we are going to rewrite this before we find a derivative. It will make it easier. So 7, right, in the numerator. And we want to bring these all to a numerator, okay? And when we do that, we must make the exponent negative. So this is going to become x to the exponent of negative 11, okay? 7 times x to the exponent of negative 11. So no more fraction now. And then minus 8 times x to the exponent of negative 1, just like this, because this is x to the exponent of 1, right? There's a 1 here when there usually is an exponent, and here there's also an exponent of 1 as well. Okay, this is in the numerator already. Let's just write it as such with the exponent of 1. So now I'm going to find a derivative by using the power rule. So to do that, we apply the same concept. We bring this negative 11 down, write these exponents down, bring it down, and then we subtract 1 from the exponents. So y prime is going to be equal to 7 times negative 11, okay, because we brought this down, times x, and then negative 11, we copy that exponent, but we must subtract 1 from it, like that. And then same here, negative 8 times negative 1, so I'm going to write negative 1, okay, take this negative 1 down, and then times x to the exponent of negative 1, but we must subtract 1 from that, like this. And same for this term, so we take this 1 down, okay, 1, and then we have x, okay. So take this 1 down, we tuck it down here, and now x to the exponent of 1, and we must subtract 1 from that exponent. So y prime is going to be equal to 7 times the negative 11, so negative 77, that's what we get. And then x to the exponent of negative 11 minus 1 is negative 12, and then here, negative 8 times negative 1 is going to give us positive 8. And then now we multiply by x, right? X to the exponent of negative 1 minus 1, which is going to be negative 2, just like that. Then now we have positive 1 times x to the exponent of 1 minus 1. 1 minus 1 is equal to 0, so I'm going to write 0 like that. And x to the exponent of 0 is equal to 1. So this is basically like 1 times 1, okay? Which is basically 1. So y prime is equal to negative 77 times x to the exponent of negative 12 plus 8 times x to the exponent of negative 2 plus 1. This is 1, right? X to the exponent of 0 is equal to 1. Now 1 times 1 gives you 1. So that's why we write 1 here. So now we have the negative exponents. We can rewrite these, right? Put them in the denominator so we have positive exponents. So y prime is going to be equal to negative 77 over x to the exponent of 12, right? Instead of negative 12, it's x to the exponent of 12. And now plus 8 over x to the exponent of 2, right? This is x to the exponent of negative 2. It's now a positive exponent, but in the denominator, then plus 1. So plus 1, just like that. And there we have it. We have found the derivative for this function right here. Okay guys, this is the end of the YouTube video. Thank you for watching. Feel free to give it a big thumbs up if you found it helpful. And I always love to know your thoughts on my YouTube videos, so feel free to comment down below. And of course, if you enjoy my content, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Anyways, I hope to see you next time for another math video. Bye!